All right, Panther fans, hockey fans, so how we doing, huh? Before we get started, Panthers play tonight against the Lightning, 7 o'clock. Live stream, pregame, 1 hour, starts at 6 o'clock. I've already created it, so you can check that out. So I'm sitting there last night. Minding my own business, thinking about what I'm going to do with my morning off. My good friend Colby made sure to tag me to something that took away my morning off. MoneyPuck is back, and I've got my laptop here so I can look at it. I'm going to put it up on the screen. I've gandered at it a little bit, and I just have a couple of points. It's not really that big of a deal. Now, the first thing that you're going to notice, and I don't need to look at the laptop for this, the first glaring thing that stands out is not what you think. What I would like to draw your attention to is the Predators logo, and the Coyotes logo, and to some extent the Wilds logo. Anybody else? Anybody else? No, those are the three. You look at those three logos, and then look at what the Panthers logo is now. No. And I get that I'm wearing it right now. It was a gift. So for purposes of this exercise, I am going to correct this graphic because it definitely has an error. There you go. Now we have the proper logo up for the Florida Panthers. Okay, now let's go over some of this. There's some good things, and then there's some things that just make you wonder if somebody has somebody's Nana hostage in a basement somewhere, okay? So for starters, I'm going to do the Western Conference first, because I'm not the biggest Western Conference aficionado, but I know enough to know I don't know anything. I like the Flames at number 1. I think that's the correct call. Now, their win the cup odds are 8.3, and then Colorado is 8%. Both of those are better than the Eastern Conference leading teams, which we'll get to in a second. As you guys know, every day I wake up, I kiss my dog, and I ask the hockey gods for a Calgary Flames, Florida Panthers Stanley Cup Finals, so that one of the fan bases can say we won the trade, because until then, ain't nobody won nothing. Now, a little bit of a closer look at the Western Conference. I don't see too much that's too far out of whack. I think Vegas is a little high. They don't have them at all with a chance to win the cup. But in terms of, Vancouver's kind of where you would think they would be. Poor Nick. Poor Nick from Twisted Wrister. His team is the San Jose Sharks, and they're sitting there at 13.7% just to make the playoffs. And they actually did get another number there. I think that's 5.7 to win a round. So, I feel you. But in the Western Conference, I'm looking around. Geez, Nick. The Seattle Kraken have almost 3 times as much of a chance to make the playoffs as the Sharks. Come on! That ain't right. That's not right. I'm sorry. That's not right. Seattle should be on the bottom of that list. Seriously. What else we got? The Blues at about 55.8. Okay. Dallas and LA. Okay. Dallas at 58, LA at 54. Some of these are arguable. The Oilers at 70.9. This is to make the playoffs. Yeah. And Colorado at 91.1 to make the playoffs. I don't have too much to really argue about in the Western Conference. I'm sure individual teams, fans of teams would. But now we're going to head over to the Eastern Conference. And if you're being held captive, just blink. Just really blink fast, and we'll send somebody for you. Because now I agree with the top. I agree with the top, where basically they have the Leafs and Panthers. By the time you get to the chances to win the cup, they're dead tied at 7.3. I agree with that to an extent. And in fact, when you look at the rest of the teams, as you start to move down the circle, all right, so you want to say Florida has a little bit of a better chance to make the playoffs than Toronto, by a percentage point, okay. Then you start getting into the Lightning at 76.3% and Boston at 76.1%. And as you go down that list, I believe, no, the Lightning stayed just ahead of Boston, but just ahead, just barely. Okay, I'm not so sure about that. I'm not ready to put Tampa Bay out of the caliber of the Floridas and the Toronto Maple Leafs just yet. So I'm not so sure why they would have removed, taken 10% there. Boston, there's some funny business going on in the Northeast here, as you'll see, okay? There's some funny New York, New England stuff going on here because you got Boston at 76.1%. Somehow, you then have, Pittsburgh is 71.6%, but then the Capitals is 53.2%. Now, I know the Capitals were the last seed last year, but they took Panthers to 6 games without Tom Wilson. I mean, if you're not going to bet against the age of Boston and you're not going to bet against the age of Pittsburgh, why are you betting against Ovechkin? I would put my money on Ovechkin before I put my money on any of the other players. So that's my take there. Carolina is about where they should be at 82.8. Their odds to win the Cup is 6%, which is a little bit lower than Florida and Toronto. I'm not so sure I agree with lower. I'm sure Canes fans disagree with that, and I would agree with your argument, but it's just 1%. It's not glaring. Where we get into glaring is, somebody is definitely being held hostage. Something's not right. The New York Rangers have a 48.3% chance of making the playoffs, and apparently no chance of winning the Cup. No chance. In fact, they have no chance of even making the finals. The Rangers with Shesterkin. Now I know they lost some depth. They did get Trocheck in. I mean, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They gave Tampa a hell of a. Are we sure about this? Are we sure? Because the next thing we're going to look at is the New Jersey Devils. What? Huh? Come on. This is a troll job. I was going to make a video last night and I said they're going to wake up in the morning and say this was a tech area. This was a mistake. The New Jersey Devils apparently have a 63.3% chance to make the playoffs and a 4% chance to win the Cup. What? There has to be something's not right. Something is not right. There's just, how are we getting these numbers? And to make matters worse, to insult the Rangers fans even more, the Islanders their odds are pretty much even with the Rangers. Somebody from New York, somebody from that area made these rankings. It's very clear because between Boston and Islanders and the Rangers and the Devils, it is all out of whack. It is all out of order. The Boston numbers should be where the Rangers numbers are. The Rangers numbers should be where the Boston, you know what I mean? Boston and the Rangers should be swapped. The Islanders, I can accept the Islanders at about 45.8%. I can accept that. They still have a good roster. They might have gotten too old, too tired from all the hockey they played, but they still have a roster of nice players. The Devils, you're telling me the Devils have a better chance of making the playoffs than the Blues, than the Stars, than the Kings? Just about the same as the Vegas. What are we talking about? What is either A, somebody is smoking, or B, there's a Devils fan that has a Rangers grandma in their basement being held hostage until these statistics come out. I don't know what's happening, but that is not right. It's just not right. I couldn't believe it. None of us can believe it. And it makes you call into question, how are they getting these numbers? How and who? And that's a genuine question. I don't know how they get these numbers exactly. So please explain it to me in the comments. To each their own. But I'm willing to bet. Let's put it this way. I mean, they have the teams that they have with no chance to even make it to the finals, there's only a few. This is a troll job. This is a troll. The more I look at this, the more I think this is a troll job. There are only, looking around this horn, there's only 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3 teams, 4 teams. There's 4 teams with 0 odds to make it to the finals. And that is the Islanders, the Rangers, the Canucks, and the Kraken, and the Sharks. So add 1 more in. There might be a few more, but there's a few more. But the slivers are so small, they're hard to see. But how you get the Rangers in with those teams, somebody is being held hostage. I'm willing to put money, or maybe it's a troll job. Like they're going to come out with the real rankings today. It can't be. Like I said the morning of the Tkachuk-Huberdeau trade. This can't be real. But it's real. Unless it's an elaborate hoax by the entire internet, this is real. Okay. Like I said, live stream tonight 1 hour before the game. Yesterday, I started something new on this channel. Most of you look like you missed it. It's got like 50 views. I've started a sports podcast where I talk about the big stories of sports for that day. It's not going to be a daily thing until I see that people want to watch it. I don't want to be old man talking to myself, but check it out. I released it yesterday. It's called the Flying Fluffy Sports Podcast. I'd like to be able to continue that, so check it out. Let me know if there's interest. Other than that, I'll see you guys tonight, 6 o'clock, and then we're basically standard issue now. All right, the live streams before the games, the recaps, the articles for the Patreon people right after the game, which will become public the next morning. We're done with preseason, though we're still in preseason. I'm going to start rolling with the regular lineup here. And Stu and I will be back tomorrow morning with a review of tonight's game. Thank you, Karen, for the tickets so Stu could go to the game. And I will see you guys again later.